Sports Time with Chris. This week, the 49ers take on the Chargers. I forgot for a moment that they were Los Angeles Chargers now, not the San Diego Chargers. And of course, the biggest story going into this one is the return of Trey Lance. No, not really. Well, people are going to make it a story, and I know I'm going to talk about it a little bit at least, but I don't think it's the biggest story going into this game. Obviously, for the 49ers, it's been their absurd amount of injuries. Just insane amount of injuries so far this season, this preseason, training camp, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it's crazy. Before we get into the injuries, I do want to go back and talk a little bit about the Raiders game. Not going to go too deep into the details, but I did want to talk about it. I don't really do instant reactions on this podcast. I just don't have the time usually to do it. So unfortunately, I'm not able to do instant reactions. We'll see if during the season I can find a way to squeeze some time in to do that and do maybe like a really short episode or something. We'll see. Maybe I could make it just a short 1-minute clip I can put on the socials or something. But yeah, let's get into this Raiders game. Really, the biggest story out of this game, there were two, in my opinion. The first one was Jake Moody hitting 5 out of 6 field goals, including the game winner. Now, Shanahan said in a press conference once that kickers are constantly fighting for their lives in the NFL. And for Jake Moody to go out there and hit all these field goals and the game winner, I think it's a good sign. I mean, they stuck with Moody, and if they're sticking to that philosophy that kickers are fighting for their lives every week, if he struggles early on in the season, they could easily make a move. They know there are kickers available all the time, ready to come off the streets, because there are 32 NFL teams, obviously. And most NFL teams don't keep more than one kicker. So there will be some available if Jake Moody struggles. I think for him, it's really just about the mental thing. Honestly, he has a tremendous leg, but when it comes to the mental part of it, it's like that's where he struggles with. And it would have been nice to see him have a full competition throughout camp, where he could go through kind of the daily pressure that comes with the competition like that. But because of injuries, circumstances, 49ers was it Greg Joseph? I think it was Greg Joseph. They let him go, and unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, that left only one kicker on the roster, which is Jake Moody. Now, I've said before, and I'll say it for forever, I don't blame Jake Moody for being drafted in the 3rd round. That is fully on the 49ers. So that has always blown my mind. And so, yeah, they sticking with him, I think, is a sign that they don't want to be kind of known for drafting a kicker in the 3rd round and then releasing him just a few years later. I think they want to try and prove themselves right. So we'll see if that pays off for them. The other big storyline that came out of this game was Dominic Puni having an injury scare. He went down on while he was on the field goal team and was carted off and looked like it could be a lot worse, but it turns out to be a PCL sprain, I think, or PCL. Not entirely sure exactly what kind of PCL injury, but Shanahan said he's only expected to miss a few weeks, which, all being said, that is too bad. Puni was one of the standout players last season, so it's unfortunate they won't have him, but at least it's not going to be for a long stretch. And now for my personal opinion, Chase Lucas needs to make this roster. Once again, he had a really solid game against the Raiders. He had an interception, and he looked good. I mean, he's looked good in both preseason games, and I know people are going to come out here and say that, it's just preseason. He's going up against a bunch of backups, third string, fourth string, whatever. And while that is true, if you put a bunch of starters against those types of players, they're supposed to be better than them. They're supposed to excel. They're supposed to kind of dominate them a little bit. Now, it is the NFL, so there's not as much of that as you might see in college. But the fact that he was doing that and has been doing that the last few weeks, I think it shows that he is ready. And the truth is, he's going to be just potentially the fourth, fifth, sixth string cornerback. So it's not like he's going to get a significant amount of playing time. But he does provide solid depth, and if he is a fifth string cornerback, that shows how much depth this 49ers cornerback room has, which is really good. They need it. That's really everything I wanted to talk about from the Raiders game. That game was a week ago, so since then there have been quite a few developments with the 49ers. They have made they've made two trades. The first one was with the Chiefs. They traded for Skyy Moore, who's a receiver, returner, and this move really makes me question if Junior Bergen is going to play or make this team. Skyy Moore is like a poor man's Debo, except he has returned punts before, although he did have a punt fumble issue his rookie season. Demarcus Robinson is also, we learned he is suspended for 3 games, and the Niners are dealing with a ton of injuries at receiver, including Russell Gage, and Jacob Cowing left after returning for his first practice since he suffered an injury. So yeah, the receiver room is looking really thin already. There, of course, Ayuk is out. Jawan Jennings is apparently hurt. So bringing in Skyy Moore, to me, Skyy Moore, I anticipate Kyle Shanahan is going to use him in that sort of Debo role. A lot of screens, end arounds, and then as a returner as well, which we did see the Niners try to do that with Junior Bergen. I don't think he did much with his screen, so who knows if he's going to make the team. Now, when I first heard that the Niners were making this move, so they got Skyy Moore for a 6th round pick, and then they got the Chiefs 7th round pick, I believe. So not a lot of, they didn't give up a lot for him, although he hasn't been the most productive receiver in the NFL. Initially I thought this was a decent move, and now I'm like, okay, this is like at least they didn't give up more than a 6th, and they got a 7th back too, so it's not a horrible move. But he did miss most of last season with a core muscle injury, so he already dealt with a major injury last year that kept him out most of the season. And earlier this training camp, he left with a hamstring injury. Now, it wasn't super serious, and it seemed like he was able to return to training camp, but still, having a hamstring injury that recently raises some concerns for me, especially considering the Niners, there have been some receiver moves this week, some receivers they probably could have gotten. And it's the NFL, so you expect some guys to have injuries, but when they're dealing with a very thin receiver room that's dealing with injuries already, and they trade for a guy that's already had an injury this season, it's kind of, I don't know, it's a little questionable, but we'll see if it works out for them. And kind of going along those same lines, the Niners also traded just today for Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson from the Commanders. They traded him for a 6th round pick. And this move, considering where the 49ers are now, I think is a good move. They're already very thin at the running back position. They've placed, I think, 2 or 3 running backs on IR. Let's see, Kiner's on IR, Patrick Taylor's on IR. So right now, Guerendo's coming back from an injury. Jordan James from Oregon's coming back from an injury. They're very thin at running back right now. I think their other 2 running backs are Keyshawn Vaughn and Jeff Wilson Jr., which it's interesting. They brought him back because he's familiar with the system. It's fine. I mean, hopefully this move means that they can get rid of him, but Brian Robinson really is a solid backup. What I question about this move is Brian Robinson, to me, is very comparable to Jordan Mason, who they traded this off season. And to me, I've been saying Niners should roll with Jordan Mason, and they traded him, and now they got a guy that's very similar to him. So now they did get a 5th round pick for Jordan Mason, so some return on that investment, but I would have rather stuck with him than gone with Brian Robinson, but that's neither here or there because this is what's happening right now. Brian Robinson provides a really solid depth piece. Kind of goes against the Shanahan philosophy that running backs are plug and play. You can basically grab any running back and make him work in the system, but with the number of injuries that they've dealt with, not really knowing who's going to be available. I think this is a solid move, having a good number 2 behind Christian McCaffrey. He provides some power, can use him on the goal line. And I think the key with this now is that they actually have to use him sometimes. Hopefully Christian McCaffrey also learned his lesson about playing every single down, waving guys off, and Brian Robinson opens the door for, giving McCaffrey some breaks here and there so he's not carrying the ball 90% of the game. So I like it. Was it a move they could have avoided? Sure, but that's neither here or there. Excited to see what he can do on this team. All right, so I just wanted to go through some of the injuries that happened this week. I don't know if these are all of them. This is what I pulled from ESPN. So I talked about Kiner going on IR. Trey Brown is going on IR. That one is interesting. I thought Trey Brown could be a solid depth piece at the cornerback position, but maybe apparently his injury was pretty serious that they put him on IR. But I feel really good about the cornerback position this year. They have solid depth, in my opinion, with Demo. Why am I forgetting all the 49ers cornerbacks right now? Demo, of course, is kind of underrated. Renardo Green is coming back. Upton Stout is their rookie who they've been talking up. Hopefully we can see him get some action soon. I've talked about Jacob Robinson. I think he's going to be really solid. Chase Lucas. I mean, those are 5 solid corners right there. Darrell Luter Jr., I don't know if he's going to make this team this year. He's kind of been struggling in preseason, so we'll see. Dallas Flowers. Also, what I like about Dallas Flowers is that he provides a return element. He's the guy that can also return punts and kicks, so that's something to consider for him. Derek Canteen is a rookie. And Fabian Moreau. I don't know. I feel really good about whoever they choose to be to make this team. I would feel really good with Demo, Stout, Robinson, Lucas, Green. Those 5 guys I feel really good about, and then having a 6th guy. I feel like I would lean towards Flowers just because he does provide that return element, but I feel really good about the cornerback room either way. Russell Gage I talked about, Jacob Cowing, Patrick Taylor, Nick Bosa's neck still hurts apparently. And then Mac Jones suffered a knee sprain during the preseason game, so he'll be out this week. Unfortunately, we won't get to see him battle it out with Trey Lance. Now, the interesting thing about that is that it's never been confirmed, but a lot of people believe Mac Jones was the guy that Kyle Shanahan wanted to draft in that position. So for them it would have been interesting to see those 2 guys play each other. The guy Shanahan wanted and the guy then 49ers drafted. Now it is preseason, so you got to take it with a grain of salt, but it would have been interesting. So I think the 49ers really need to evaluate everything. Their stretching, warm-ups, training program, nutrition, practice fields, playing fields, etc. Everything. There's a tweet by Warren Sharp, 49ers health by season. We'll start 2018, number 4th most injured, 2019, number 6 most injured, 2020, number 1 most injured, 2021, 3rd most injured, 2022, 9th most injured, 2023, 29th most injured, an anomaly there, 2024, number 1 most injured. So this team under Kyle Shanahan has dealt with a lot of season-ending injuries. Or not season-ending injuries, just a lot of injuries in general. I think they really need to take a good, hard look in the mirror and figure out what is going on with that. That's just crazy. The amount of injuries we saw last year and already this season it's been insane. So I think they really need to evaluate all those things and try to figure out if there's a way to prevent these injuries, because there's no way that it's just bad luck. Like, there's a pattern there. There's a one anomaly year. That was the year they went to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, I guess, I don't know. It's bizarre, to say the least. And on the topic of bizarre things, this week, the 49ers let Tanner Mordecai go. They signed Nate Sudfeld, and then they released Sudfeld and brought back Mordecai. So that was interesting, a little bit bizarre. But I've been saying they should just keep hanging on to Mordecai. He's shown some promise. I feel like he has all the physical tools. He needs to work on the technical part of the game. Rather have him than Carter, that's for sure. Carter Bradley. So there's that. And then another is sort of going along the transaction line for the 49ers. They apparently have put Jair Brown on the trade block. They've let teams know that he's available for the right price. So that's something to watch. Could mean that he's on his way out. Either way, from San Francisco. Really is too bad, because he had such a solid rookie year, and last year was a little bit rough. I know. I don't know. I don't know if that was a Nick Sorensen effect or not, but apparently that's carried over a little bit into this year. So that's too bad. I really liked him his rookie season, but if he's really struggling, then yeah, it's better to get something back in return for him. And earlier I was talking about how the 49ers play the Chargers this week. Couple players that I'm watching for, and the way I'm doing this actually is going to be more by groups. So the wide receiver group, Robbie Chosen could very well be the number 2 receiver come week 1. He had a solid game against the Raiders. I feel like he's going to be a lock to make this roster. And I talked about Junior Bergen a little bit earlier. Can he play a bigger role than being just a returner? I know the Niners drafted him with him being a return man in mind, but with the way that this roster has been decimated by injuries, they kind of have to be really, really picky about who they let make this team. And Bergen, with the addition of Skyy Moore, is on his... I feel like he's on the outside looking in. Now, they could put him on the practice squad, sure, but I don't know. Return guy like that, there's going to be some healthy teams out there that may want to snatch him for themselves. So that's something to watch in this preseason game. Now, Tariq Owens, I said I was going to watch last week. He had one pretty solid catch. I don't know. He's another guy that, depending on how these young receivers do, he may make the roster out of necessity. I don't know if the Niners can really... I don't know how week 1 is going to look. There's no way they're going to have just 4 active receivers on week 1, right? Like, that just sounds crazy. Everyone knows at that point they're going to run the hell out of the ball, but 4 receivers would be crazy. So, yeah, I want to see if Tariq can do a little bit more this week. And then another area that could potentially help with this is the tight end room. Tight ends have not been noticeable at all this preseason. Is one of them going to step up? I mean, obviously there's Kittle, but no one else has really done anything. At least I haven't noticed them. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. There's Luke Farrell, who they paid a lot of money to. Jake Tonjes, Braden Willis, who I feel like he's probably not going to make the team. 3 tight ends, they haven't really done anything in the preseason. So I guess we'll see how that shapes up, see if any of them can do something this week. For the defense, I'm looking at the safety battle. Jair Brown, Jason Pinnock, Siegel. It's going to be interesting to see how that shapes up, especially with Jair Brown apparently being on the trade block. But Siegel, he looked good, and Pinnock's looked pretty solid as well. So those could be the two. I don't know if those guys are going to be playing free and strong or just free. So I'm really interested to see how that's going to shape up. Then Nick Martin is the linebacker. Struggled a bit in week 1. I feel like he did a little bit better last week. And so this week I'm looking to see if he can make even more improvements. I would love to be wrong about Nick Martin. So hopefully he proves me wrong and he's a solid get, stays healthy, and learns to control himself a little bit on the field. And then the last guy I'm watching, of course, has got to be Trey Lance. I don't know. There might be some hard feelings still there. Kyle Shanahan was asked about him. He said he hasn't had a chance to evaluate him. He's not going to evaluate him because he's not on his team anymore. But Trey is one of the best people he's ever known, and he wishes the best for him. It's just so so weird. I don't know, so strange the way the Niners have gone about around the Trey Lance situation. I don't know if he has some bad beef with them still, so it'll be interesting to see if he comes out and just like tries to light it up against this 49ers defense. That would be interesting. So while he's not a 49er anymore, I do want to see him do well. I think he's in a perfect situation with Los Angeles, Coach Harbaugh, and being behind a pretty solid quarterback in Justin Herbert. So yeah, that's something to see. I feel like a lot of the 49ers teammates he had may dap him up, talk to him before the game or after. So yeah, I just want to see Trey Lance succeed, and we'll see what this game looks like for him. With that will do it for today's episode. I'm still trying to figure out if my dad and brother want to do a season preview episode for the Niners and potentially the whole NFL. If not, then you can expect me to do that. I really wanted to do a roster projection before the roster cutdowns, but with the number of injuries that they've got going on and one more preseason game left, I'm not going to do that because who knows what's going to happen, honestly. It's a very interesting roster conundrum they've got right now. So they're because of how many injuries they're dealing with, there may be some guys that they don't want to let go who they're going to have to let go. One of those guys who I personally think they should have let go already is Juszczyk. But yeah, that would be a wild thing for them to do. I can't imagine they would, but yeah. Anyway, that's going to do it. Thanks again for listening. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, like this video. If you're listening on Spotify, go ahead and follow me. I appreciate every single one of you who takes the time to listen to me. And as always, this has been Sports Time with Chris.